New York Congressman-elect George Santos admits to lying about his college and work history. Republican George Santos, elected to represent parts of Long Island and Queens, admits to embellishing his resume. George Santos is at the center of a storm over his apparently fabricated resume. He has admitted that he lied about his job experience and his college education during his successful U.S. House campaign. Santos first ran for Congress in 2020. In November this year he was elected to represent parts of northern Long Island and northeast Queens. On Monday, he told the New York Post, "I'm sorry. My sins here are embellishing my resume. I didn't necessarily lie. I embellished parts of my resume." Santos's exaggerations were first identified by the New York Times, which questioned claims including that he had worked at two prominent banks on Wall Street, had obtained degrees in finance and economics from two New York colleges, that he was Jewish, and that 4 employees of his company were killed in the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, in June 2016. Santos, 34, told the Post he campaigned talking about the people's concerns, not his resume. Santos said, "I intend to deliver on the promises I made during the campaign." But he also acknowledged he didn't graduate from any institution of higher learning. "I'm embarrassed and sorry for having embellished my resume. I own up to that. We all do stupid things in life sometimes." Democrats, including the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, have suggested that Santos is unfit to sit in Congress. Some have even issued calls for Santos to resign his seat before officially being sworn in. Ted Lieu, a California Democrat, said on Twitter, "George Santos, who has now admitted his whopping lies, should resign immediately. If he doesn't, then Kevin McCarthy, the Republican House leader, should call for a vote to expel his lying ass." Joaquin Castro, from Texas, said allowing Santos to enter office next month would set a dangerous precedent. Castro went on to say, "We've seen people fudge their resume, but this shit here is total fabrication." Castro also suggested Santos should be investigated by the appropriate authorities. Hakeem Jeffries, the incoming Democratic House leader, said Santos appears to be a complete and utter fucking fraud. Santos said he worked for Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, but neither company could find records verifying this. Santos told the newspapers that "You see what had happened was, I never worked directly, directly, for none of them firms, and I used a poor choice of words." He said, Link Bridge, an investment company where he was a vice president, actually did business with them. The Times uncovered Brazilian court records, showing that Santos was once charged with fraud for using a stolen checkbook to buy poo-poo from a São Paulo brothel, to which Santos replied, "That's bullshit. I am not a criminal, not here or in Brazil or any jurisdiction in the world, and have never been to any brothel. Absolutely not. That never happened." Santos did admit that he did experience financial difficulties that left him owing some landlords a lil sum, but he was gonna pay that back when he got his income tax check. Another news arm, the Jewish American, questioned a claim on Santos's website that his grandparents fled Jewish persecution in Ukraine, settled in Belgium, and again fled persecution from Prussian domination from transgender Jesuit priests during the Second World War. Santos said, "I never claimed to be Jewish. I'm Catholic. What had happened was, I learned that I was Jewish from somewhere on my mama's side, so I said I was Jewish. Jewish." A leading newspaper, the Daily Beast, has reported that Santos, who has now identified as gay, was actually divorced from some woman in September 2019. Although the past marriage isn't necessarily at odds with his sexuality, the Beast noted, Santos has never acknowledged his previous heterosexual marriage, and his biography only says that he lives with his husband Matt, and 4 dogs. Santos went on to say, "I've screwed plenty women in the past. Once, I even made the mistake of marrying one. It's personal though. I'm okay with my sexuality now. People change." Trying to clean up the lie that a company he worked for lost 4 employees in the Pulse nightclub shooting, Santos said the four were now in the process of being hired at his company.
Sorry to interrupt you, but are you telling me that because he's LGBTQ that he gets a pass on his bloody lies? And what the fuck is this embellishment shit? It's lies. Lies, all bloody lies. Embellishment my ass.
I thought the same thing. He needs to be held accountable for his lies. There is no way that that man should be able to hold office after telling people all those motherfucking lies. There should be a voter recall and the people should be able to go back to the blood clot polls and vote again.
I don't think you guys understand. George Santos lying about his college records, his employment history, lying about his race, and lying about his sexuality, and being involved with stolen checks. This shit distinctly qualifies this asshole for public office. And it's a goddamn shame. So, yeah. You're looking at the next duly elected representative out of the great state of New York.